investments in projects, IT projects, is a little bit different from managing stocks and shares, yeah? Because it's not just buying and selling. You're committed to the duration of the project. Yeah? Now, bear in mind that what I'd like to point out is the term strategic objectives. Very few of us in IT are given the chance. Actually, it's not our fault. I'm wearing the IT guy's hat now. It's not the IT guy's fault that they don't talk strategic language with management, and that's why IT people, poor IT people, always remain as IT people. You wait for your, what do you call the IT manager now? MIS manager, whatever, yeah? So basically, unless the top guy dies, you don't get a chance to get promoted, right? You don't normally move sideways like the other corporate guys. So that's the sad thing, yeah? Why? Because you don't talk language of strategy, right? So, and after this, I hope that you guys will start to do so, yeah? So business priorities and business strategies, we no longer should be talking about, which piece of hardware is better than the other. Of course, those things are important, but we need to be aligned with business strategy. This is something which I put up to show you all the copyright things so that I don't get blasted for using logos and terminology and all that. That belongs to the OGC. The OGC used to stand for the Office of Government Commerce, and since the political party ruling Britain has changed, they decided that it now comes under the Cabinet Office rather than OGC, just like in any other country. So basically, these are the products of the OGC. So you can see that in terms of the way that the British government has actually handled governance, yeah. So like Prince 2, some of you may have heard it, and of course there's this perennial argument about PMP versus Prince 2 and all that, which is a silly argument because PMP qualification talks about the knowledge that somebody needs in his bag of tools to manage projects. Prince 2 is really talking about project governance, right? How do you govern a project to make sure that things happen correctly? It is not about what techniques you use and all that. Yeah? So it's two different things. And you need to look at management of value, management of risk, etc. So I'll just speed up so that we don't, waste time. Now, besides the graphic, this hierarchy here, which we'll go into a bit more detail later on, says that you see at the bottom there we talk about projects, right? So there's a big gap between the board of directors and projects. You don't really expect the board of directors to understand or to know too much about projects. Let's say you've got 300 projects running. That's not possible, right? And I do a lot of management briefing. Usually, company board of directors can only listen to you for an hour, right? They're not going to sit here the whole day. They've got golf to play. So, I didn't say that. Now, so at the end of the day, every single time I do a briefing, right? At the end of the briefing, when I leave them, they'll all be talking among each other. I say, yeah, no, it's true, we don't really know what's going on down there. We accept the very high-profile projects, yeah? And certain projects should have been chopped a long time ago. So this is the kind of conversation that goes on. Yeah? So when you are down at the project level, you need to be aware what's happening in between. We talk a bit about programs and projects later on. Yeah, this is just a repetition. I'll just quickly skip this. It talks about business as usual, which is when you run the business, and then changing the business is running projects and programs. Right? Programs are, you can imagine it as collections of projects, simplistically, very, very simplistically. When you run the business, okay, you begin to see that the corporate strategy demands that we should have some changes to the business. Why? Because the situation is changing. They see opportunities ahead in the next few years. They see risks happening in the next few years. So therefore, they introduce projects to introduce some changes, new systems, modified systems, etc. And because of that, the projects, once you implement the project, what happens? Projects, when they've been implemented and it's successfully been running, hopefully successfully been running for 2 years, then it becomes standard daily operations, right? So that's why the arrow goes there. It becomes the run the business, sorry, the bottom part, run the business. And when you run the business, then you change requirements, so it goes over there. Yeah? Now, basically, in terms of managing your portfolios, remember portfolios is a collection of your projects. Yeah? Now, just a quick explanation, right? To let you understand that a portfolio is managed differently as individual projects. Why? Because if you think about, warfare, for example, right? You cannot expect the soldier on the ground, not because he's not so intelligent, you cannot expect the soldier on the ground to make strategic decisions. He's been asked to do something, he has to do it, do or die, he does it. Similarly, those of you who are project managers know, right? You've been given a job, You're supposed to finish it, deliver the new system, you deliver. Whether the business can make use of that, that's not your problem. It is your problem indirectly, yeah, but you don't have the power, the authority to do anything about it. You don't even know what the real corporate strategy is. I used to work for Marks and Spencer's when I was in England, St. Michael's shop, you know, and big operations in Garden Street near Heathrow Airport. I remember as a programmer, when I was first a young programmer, and I started asking them questions about what's this, which part of, I know it was in menswear or in some parts of the system, but I say, how does it link to the strategy of the company and all that? You know what's the answer I got? My boss basically turned around and looked at me, look, don't ever ask that question again. That's none of your business. So that's, so basically it is true. You're supposed to develop systems, you develop systems, but the guy who's in charge of you has to make sure that the system is continually in line with corporate strategy as a strategy change. That's what portfolios are about. And portfolios, the way, if you have a time to Google, you find that there's lots of stuff you can download from the OGC, now Cabinet Office, and perhaps from APMG, the exam board, you can buy those books. And basically, the trust of the whole thing is different. A project management method cannot be very flexible. If you're supposed to develop a payroll system, you develop a payroll system. You can modify bits here and there, interfaces, etc. as you go along. But you cannot go and halfway through a payroll system, the company doesn't need a new payroll system, we need a stock control system. Let's change the payroll system to a stock control system. It doesn't work that way, right? So basically a portfolio, in terms of program management, it works that way because a program runs many projects, right? So if your department no longer finds it useful to have a new payroll system, even though you've done it halfway and very happily, successfully halfway, then the program manager basically decides we will kill that particular project. No more payroll project. You guys go and look for another job. Or we reassign you to sweep the floor or something more interesting. Then they will introduce the new project, which is the stock control project. Understand? So that's a different, right? The way the mechanisms are designed is very, very different. Yeah. So in terms of managing portfolio, in terms of governance of managing portfolio, there are two things which we look at. One of the things, remember just now we talked about the business as usual, and the other one we talk about ongoing change. Yeah? So basically, there are two things which we need to look at in terms of governance of portfolios of projects. Yeah? What you find on the dark circles going round. Yeah? So these are the 5 principles. When you manage portfolios of projects, you've got to keep in mind that these are the 5 principles. And obviously we don't have time here, but if you go and look at the literature, it will give you details about how those things can be implemented really on the ground. Yeah? You need to have governance alignment. What does it mean? It means that you cannot govern the project independently of your organization, right? So you need to, there are lots of other presenters doing COVID and all the other things. So basically, you need to make sure that your IT projects are actually, in terms of the way you govern them, the way you control them, is in line with the corporate ones. Yeah? Which also means that a lot of the work is done by the guys out there, so that it's not really done by the IT department. So you talk about senior management commitment, you talk about energized change culture, that's the soft skills part, right? Portfolio office. Portfolio office is a new term we use. You know the term PMO, right? Project Management Office. Project Management Office usually have a very short lifetime, 2 years maybe, because the budget is withdrawn after some time because all you're doing is support services. So the idea of a portfolio office now is that instead of just supporting the project manager in terms of calling for meetings, collecting timesheets, producing stuff, that's more administrative. You really want to provide information to support the board of directors all the way down to your project managers, right? So that's the new concept behind the project management office. In the middle, we talk about those are the cycles. So there are 2 cycles basically in terms of portfolio delivery. We'll look at it a bit more later on, right? In terms of delivering the portfolio, there are two cycles which is involved. Okay? Any of you old enough to recall that you've attended some courses or read some books on some guy that used the analogy of the compass and the watch? Who's that? I can see some smile, like Covey, right? Covey, I think, was the one who, he didn't actually invent it. I mean, it's a natural thing. So he basically introduced the thing that in our lives, in our organizations, people tend to manage things by the watch, right? Timing. I want it by tomorrow. I want it. But very often we are desperately running the wrong direction. Yeah. So basically, that's the overview of the portfolios. Look, I think your coffee break is coming up soon, so I'll dash along. And there was a timing, is it? Okay. So basically, we need to make a choice. Right? Portfolio definition, there are 2 cycles, remember, in the other diagram earlier on. So we need to make, when we talk about the projects we want to run, we need to make choices. How do we make choices? We make choices about which projects we want to run by looking at, we need to understand what is it the strategy of the company is. Okay? And therefore, what kind of projects we need to run. Yeah? We need to categorize them. Why categorize them? Remember, I gave you the analogy earlier on that when I talked to board of directors, hey, you go and present them with a list of 300 projects. Even though you might try to squeeze it on 1 page as per their requirement, they're not going to make much hit out of it, right? So good governance says that people on the top need to make some decisions on strategic directions of projects. They need to make some choices. You cannot make choices out of 300. Right? Neither you nor the board of directors. So therefore, we say we categorize, put them into categories. How do you categorize them? Depends on the organization, right? Is it by financial means? Is it by social development, etc.? So once they are categorized, then it helps to make decisions, right? Once you categorize them, then you also look at priorities, right? Which category of investments, which category of social kind of projects have higher priority? Yeah? And of course, you need to balance that.